Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa, a platform, a channel, and a modality where we apply the principles of spirituality, philosophy, mysticism, and business and good planning to rapid lifestyle transformation. Have a very interesting video coming for you this evening, a very quick video, and one that you can take away and start practicing immediately. It's the first concrete step in this process, the process of strategic planning, the process of getting serious and exerting controlled focus on your outcomes so that you can get outcomes into your reality on this film roll quickly and easily and with the very least effort. So you'll want to listen up. First, as always, I invite you to subscribe to our channel. It's a growing modality, and what we do, if this is your first time watching, is we teach you the principles of philosophy, spirituality, law of assumption, law of attraction, self-help, growth, and any principles that we find along the way that will help us, but we do it for one purpose, and that is your rapid lifestyle transformation. More specifically, getting yourself free from a job and a boss within 6 months to a year so that you can exert full independence over your own schedule and you can create masterpieces. All of these principles will apply to anything on the spectrum that you're trying to achieve in this life. Any success, any skill that you want to acquire, any amount of money, but it has to be your desire. And it doesn't even have to be your desire because you can make it your desire. We release videos on this modality daily, ladies and gentlemen, so if you want to get alerts for our videos, please subscribe to the channel below. Do that. And also, not only will you be joining the community of Master Manifestors, getting the alerts for all of our videos, you'll also be helping me get the word out. On my mission here to get this information, to get this way of thinking out to as many people as possible who resonate with it, I believe we are playing our small part in a global awakening, and the human species needs that. The times are calling for that. So I will give you a second to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for subscribing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have gotten our objective or our intention down to a letter, and you can watch the previous 4 videos in this series that we've just started on strategic planning. We've written the letter, we've written the main physical components of that we want to see in our reality, and we've listed emotions. We've imagined it, and we're going to be doing this throughout the process. We're going to be mentally focusing on a few scenes or a few statements or a few affirmations or anything basically that can hold your focus onto the topic while feeling as good as possible. And we've been rehearsing that throughout the day. In fact, we're going to make special videos on all of these points in detail. So don't worry if you don't get the details. But you don't even need the details. You can start practicing immediately. You've been rehearsing yourself like an athlete into what the end feels like, being surrounded by the end without going into the how. You've developed your war room, so to speak. Of course, this is a metaphorical war room whereby you have a space dedicated to focus on that. It could be your office, but you need to make it like one of those spaces that is dedicated to a mission or an operation. If you look at intelligence and so on and so forth, and people in business, they will set off a space for that operation. They'll get a whiteboard or a blackboard, and I'm going to be showing you how I set mine up in a future video coming up in the next few days. But you'll want to get those materials. You'll want to get a clear, clean space. You'll even want to get a bulletin board where you can put clippings and so on and so forth and disparate notes. This is going to be your operations command center for getting this done. We're not playing around, ladies and gentlemen. We are focusing on an objective with laser focus, and it's going to amaze you how quickly this opens up the doors of possibilities and how things start coming your way. It is a campaign, if you will. And I liken it to these campaigns of officials trying to get elected and so forth. And even figuratively, I liken it to military campaigns of great men like Napoleon and so on and so forth. But this is all dedicated to getting you free from a job and a boss, to getting your business launched and so on and so forth. So, all of this has been in general laid out. And remember, this process is not linear. It's not like a step one and you're there and then you finish step one and go on to step two. No. This is a circular process. You're going to be intuitively returning to the other steps of the process. You're going to go forward 2 steps and you're going to go back 3 steps and so on and so forth. But I have to present it as steps because language is limited, and also the ability of linear thinking of the left brain at least is limited, although we're going to teach you how to tap in to your right brain. Even so many great planners limit themselves because they limit themselves to what they think they can linearly and logically plan. But the greatest and most creative thinkers, if you look at the sciences and the arts, if you even look at business, and even if you look at politics, military, and history, and so on and so forth, the most creative brains were those who were able to give their brains a break. And a great book that I recommend for that is The Intuitive Investor by Apollo Voss. You should look into that book. It has a lot of components of what we're going to talk about. And that's why I'm excited about what could be called the first step to your strategic campaigning. And that is, ladies and gentlemen, you're in the iteration phase, or the incubation phase, or the ideation phase. And this is going to apply to a lesser or greater extent depending on what your objective is and how much you know about it. I am with Peter Sage. You know, the great entrepreneur and inspirational speaker, Peter Sage, said in one of his books, I remember, that he doesn't start a business unless he knows that he has no idea how he would start that. This is the challenge, and this is the most fun. This is the most meaty of the objectives or intentions. And it's also going to be the easiest for you to attain, ironically. And I know Abraham Hicks, especially I remember the spiritual teacher Zera Mahun goes into this. The less you know about something, then the less you get in your own way, because you're not really able to do much in the beginning. So therefore you're able to let that incubate and grow. And that's what you're doing in the first steps of your strategic campaign. That's right. And that's what's so hard for people to do who are stuck in the left brain. So you're doing your strategic campaign. You've got your area set up, and you've got time set up, ladies and gentlemen. That's the next important component. We're going to show you how to do this. Yesterday we talked about scaffolds, where you're trying to feel as good as you can and get into that source of flow as many times or as intensely as you can in a given day. And it's going to become like habit. And that's where going general and meditating and appreciation and gratitude come in. But you do need to schedule this. And as great writers will tell you, one great writer said, "I only write when inspiration strikes." Luckily for me, he said, it always strikes at 11 a.m. sharp every day or something like this. Meaning, if you schedule time to come and then you wait for the muse during that time, the time will come. And I have practiced these steps in my own life to enormous success every time I've implemented them. And I got the ideas from artists, from writers, and from great inventors like Edison. So here's what you do. Again, we're assuming that you don't know much about the topic you're trying to go into, and that's the best way, that's the funnest way, that's the juiciest way. So you set your time every day. Let's say it's an hour a day if you can. And you say, this time I'm going to go into my area, my war room, so to speak, and I'm going to focus on this objective. But in the beginning, it has to be a loose focus. And it is reminiscent of what Boris Berezovsky said, the great billionaire, in his book, when he talked about switching the focus or switching the objectives. And that's when you focus on something else intentionally so that you don't get in your own way with resistance on the topic that you're trying to bring about. So he said, the trick is to keep the objective in the back of your mind without coming to first plan. And I do remember that Shlomo Friedman talks about this. He says, in order to become one with your objective, so to speak, one with your intention, you have to forget the self. But you have to get totally present, and the ego just has to go away. It's what Krishnamurti referred to as love and beauty. But the trick is, you can't completely forget about your objective. So this hour, in the first stages, first of all, here's what you want to do. It's sort of like a whoop and a wharf. It's sort of like you go in, you try to attack the situation, then the negative emotion will tell you to back off, and you back off. So let's say, we'll give the example again of this house. Let's say you found the house, but you have no idea how to get it. You have no credit, no money, but you know what the house is, you know how much it is. So you say, okay, I want this house. And then automatically feelings of doubt and fear and so on and so forth that you can't get it come to you. In that situation, you become completely present, and you can think about something else. And basically, these first moments are just trying to get familiar with the process. That's all it is. You're not forcing anything. You're not trying to conceive a plan, but know that a plan will come, and it doesn't have to come in that session. In fact, many times it will come to you during the day while you're doing something else or thinking about something else. But this preparation is necessary. What you're doing is you're preparing the ground. So basically, you want to sit down and basically let your right brain do the thinking. Get as much into alpha as you can, get present, and just let yourself daydream, holding that objective in the back of your mind. It's a skill, and I can't really explain it to you. All I can do is invite you to try it. It's contemplation. And then what will happen is you'll be inspired to write something down. And it might seem unrelated to the objective that you want to pursue. That's all right. That's the voice of inspiration, and what it's trying to do is to give you some piece of the plan that you can see right now, and you just write that down, and that's when you put it either on the bulletin board, on the map, or you write it down, and you want to keep pieces of that. So that's why I recommend sticky notes, because a lot of these disparate thoughts and random thoughts and inspirations, you're not going to have any idea what to do with them or how they fit into the big picture right now. What you want to do is you want to put them in a spatial way so that your brain can start looking at it like a map, like a flat area. Because planning is, again, as we said in a previous video, getting all of these disparate ideas down to a flat, planar area, so to speak. I hope you understand me just a little bit. And at this point, we're not trying to get too intellectual. We're not trying to get too left brain. We're not trying to solve or explain anything. What we're trying to do is simply to enjoy the process and to relax. Basically, you can see this hour or 30 minutes for now as a spiritual process, as a spiritual practice. And basically, you just sit down. You may be inspired to look at something on the internet. You may be inspired to pick up one of your books and read an inspirational quote. Or you may be inspired to research a topic that may not seem to have much to do with what you're talking about. At this point, it doesn't matter. Because remember, and it talks about this a lot in the Intuitive Investor, the principle of infinity says that everything's related and nothing is out of bounds, and everything has the potential to get you a breakthrough in what you want. And I promise you, the more you focus on this process, it's only going to last for a little while, because you're going to start getting plans, you're going to start getting pathways that you can take, and then it's your job to follow those paths. And when you run into resistance, because now remember, it's like the video that we talked about, I think 2 videos ago. How do you go through the wilderness or the desert without a map, like Abraham did? You don't have a physical map, although you're starting to patch one up, and it's going to be important in the coming days of this strategic process. But right now, your only map is your feelings. And as Abraham Hicks says, when you feel worse, you're getting cooler, and when you feel better, you're getting warmer. And a lot of times, if you start feeling negative emotions coming up, it's good to just stop, just disconnect, just meditate and get in there and take a break. So basically, that's all you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, in this process. You're contemplating, you're meditating, you're just doing spur-of-the-moment things that are inspired to you, but the important thing is that you take the time to do that and you block it off And during this sacred time, you're meditating in the back of your mind on the objective that you're trying to achieve. And start doing this, ladies and gentlemen. Do this, and I hope you give us a few examples, a few testimonials of how it worked out in the comments below. Just sitting there with your gear, just getting into your war room, so to speak, just having that layout of planning, it's going to put you in that mode. It's going to inspire you. It's going to make all the difference. You're going to let your right brain do the thinking. Just like when we cook something, most of the time, a lot of people try to mess with the ingredients. Like when they're cooking steak, they'll try to mess with the steak. No. As great chefs say, let the pan do its work, let the stove do its work, and you simply observe. Let your right brain percolate all that. Because throughout your life, you've been mixing up your desires, as Abraham said. You've been putting things into your vortex. They're there mixing. All you need to do is simply allow it to mix in that soup of the right brain, and it will start spitting out plates, so to speak, that will be observable by your left brain. But you have to let that do the work. This is the first step of this iterative strategic process that we're going to be mapping out for you. It's probably, I'd argue, the most important step, and it's the funnest step, because it is the first step. And you know that you're already at the end and you're going to have fun with this. So, ladies and gentlemen, schedule your time, get with your gear, sit down, and then just listen and see what happens and enjoy it. And I promise you, very soon you're going to start getting promptings and inspiration. That's what incubation is, and every creative mind on the planet knows this and does this to some extent. So, guys, thanks for watching. We are having a lot of exciting videos coming up this weekend. We're going to be getting specific. We're going to be walking you through the process. We're going to be addressing your questions. So please feel free to ask those in the comments, the emails. I am doing coaching calls where I can take you hand by hand through this process. I promise you, you will make more progress in weeks than many people make in years. I will put my email in the description. Thanks for watching the videos. Thanks for sharing the videos. Thanks for commenting on the videos. And most of all, thank you for joining me for this journey. This is Javier signing off, the real Javier Novoa, with great love and appreciation. I'll see you soon.